You've grown over the years and you've become quite successful. You know that your people are the key to this success. So one day a manager comes to you and he says he needs a new person to fill a vacancy or a new job. You immediately get the paperwork ready through a requisition and you post it on an applicant tracking system such as Taleo. Taleo will get the word out over the internet to hopefully thousands of people called applicants, and these applicants will supply their credential information to you. You will then use applicant tracking system to do interviews and employment tests and background checks to filter out those applicants to a number of candidates that are suitable. You then choose one or two or three of those candidates, meet with the requisitioning manager, and you choose one. You'll do the paperwork for a job offer, the candidate then accepts, and you go back and forth with all the necessary required documents that are filled out. You then use applicant tracking system to schedule onboarding and orientation, and also to follow up on the progress of that employee for the first few months. Now, there are other applicant tracking systems out there, but Oracle Taleo is a world leader and it offers functionality that most organizations would find quite useful. Now, any applicant tracking system has the added benefit of saving you time, saving you energy, and saving you a little bit of thought. There are certain automated processes within it. For example, automatic scheduling of interviews, automatic communication with applicants, room bookings, booking the time of managers during panel interviews, panel members, and also automatically distributing documents such as contracts to be signed, payroll forms, and also notifying potential applicants or candidates when their interviews are. And that will actually lessen the burden for you to actually keep track of a lot of these administrative things, so you can actually move on to actually looking at the candidate itself, the person, looking at the results of tests and using psychometrics to determine the best fit for the organization. In the tutorial following, we're actually going to look at Taleo step by step and its simplicity to see what you can do to harness the power that applicant tracking offers to totally streamline and make more effective your talent management process. Now let's get started with the basics of Taleo. Use the link given to you to access the Taleo Business Edition on the cloud. Now, you will receive a username and a password to use for the duration of the course, and make sure your company code is SENA COLL. So let's give it a try. Click Login, and you'll be directed to your main page or the dashboard. Now, you can always go to this page by clicking the Home button at the top. And what we're going to do in this tutorial is do a quick overview, and in the next few tutorials we'll dig deeper and see various aspects or functionality of the system. So first of all, let's have a look. I have created two requisitions, which means two managers need to approve them, and I have no candidates so far. So let's have a look. I have a pharmacy technician that we're looking for and a compliance manager that we're looking for, right? So what you can do up here is search. If you've got hundreds of different requisitions going, like in the integrated hospital network case, you can search keywords to find certain requisitions or candidates, or by first name or last name. So let's have a look. I'm going to click on, let's say, pharmacy technician, and it gives me not much information, but it allows me to print it or send this posting directly to somebody. But if you want to see what the posting looks like, here's a dedicated link. Now, this is live, so anybody in the world with this link or who can search it can actually look at this job. So let's have a look. We click on it, and it opens up in what we call Career Center. Now, anybody who sees this posting can actually click Apply Now or log in later on and make an application for this job. So it gives you some information, and you can always enhance it with different headings and so on. So it is pharmacy technician. It is in Ontario and Leoville, and the department is pharmacist. Some limited information is provided. It gives you the requirements and the responsibilities. Now, if I click Apply Now, it will ask me to log in as a user, and we'll have a look at that in a different tutorial. So let's go back to where we were. Let's have a look at the compliance manager, and again you'll see the same thing, right? So what you can do is actually look at the full view, which gives you all the information that you typed in, what you're looking for, the budget and so on, who it reports to, and we'll look at managing this later on when we create a requisition. But you can also look at a history of changes that were made. Now let's have a look. I'm going to click on the candidates link up here, and you'll notice that we have 0 candidates for the job. Now the cool thing is, let's say you posted this and 1,000 candidates applied. Now you can actually use the system to search for specific skills, weed out or shortlist candidates, applicants that are actually truly candidates, and then process them through a set of employment tests, interviews, etc. And then we'll look at reports later on as well. Let's go to requisitions, and we're going to create a new requisition right over here. Click that, and it's quite simple actually. You know, there's a lot of fields here. Don't get daunted by it. You just have to kind of look at each one and ask yourself, is this of use to me or not? So let's start up at the top. And by the way, there's always a reset button if you want to reset the whole requisition. Now let's have a look. You are the owner of the requisition, that is you, but you can add additional owners. So for example, if you're going to go on vacation or your company has a policy that 2 people must own a requisition, you can always do that, right? Now, who is the recruiter for the requisition? So you might be the talent management person responsible, but you might have 2 or 3 other recruiters responsible for looking at where applicants might come from. For example, who's going to universities to look and so on. So you can always select a requisition recruiter and also a requisition hiring manager. So let's have a look. I'm going to click here, and we're going to choose, let's say, another recruiter to be that person. And we're going to use a manager, and we'll make this person the manager. Okay. So here's the requisition information. The title is going to be Lab Technician in the Blood Clinic. And again, make sure titles match up with the job description, right? So the duration will be, we're looking for a full-time person. The location will be at the senior geriatric site. The union, there is none. It's going to be part of the medical support department, and it will be an hourly paid job. And we are waiting for approval. So that's a status. Now, I could automatically force it to be open, which means approval does not need to be accepted by, let's say, the hiring manager. We could say rejected job. We could say it's been filled. So, for example, if a person that already works for you comes and say, hey, I can do this job, and right on the spot you verify that they can, you can just say it's filled or on hold for budget reasons, or it's completely closed, right? Now, we're going to say it's waiting for approval. The reason for opening is that it is, in fact, a replacement position, reallocated position, a new position, or non-budgeted new position, okay? So budgeted means it's probably going to be ongoing, and non-budgeted, it's just a special kind of term of a position. So we'll say we're going to replace somebody. And it's a replacement for Jack Stone, and that is optional information. The duties have not changed. And the pay range will be in the $28 to $32 range. Now, you don't have to answer all of these things. Just leave them blank for now. The position justification is that it is a replacement, right? And there are no special requests, except we could say something like must have CPR training. Okay. Now that's just a note that people will see as they're recruiting. You could type in as many notes as you like. So who is the requisition approver? Let's see. We're going to make, let's make this person the requisition approver, and you can put more than one person if you like, right? So we're going to save this, and unless they approve it, this requisition is not going forward. And then if there's an offer made, who is the offer approver? And that generally is the same person. So if I'm a manager of a department and I approve the requisition, I will also approve the offer, but not necessarily. Sometimes HR drives the whole thing based on some sort of HR planning process, right? So let's see. Change the status when so many candidates have been ranked at a certain percentage. Okay, we're going to leave that alone for now. And you want to post this requisition on Career Center that we looked at earlier based on the application workflow. Now, don't mess with that. Just leave it alone. And you can also manipulate the dates when it will be posted. So over here, you would put in a description, and you can always copy and paste, right? What the position requires, and then we're going to actually save it. So click the save button at the bottom. So now we have a lab technician blood clinic posting. It is waiting for approval, meaning that it's not going to be put on Career Center just yet until somebody approves it. Now, that approver received an email asking them to have a look and actually approve it. So let's have a look. If I wanted to edit this, I'd go back in, right, and actually edit. And I'm going to actually put a proper description in here. So let me just paste a description in here. And again, you could always put in some sort of company logos and all sorts of other things that you like, fix it up. It's not as good as Microsoft Word or anything, but you can always manage it to make it look like your own. Let's go down and save it and accept. Okay, there we go. So we now have a lab technician posting, but it has not been posted yet, but these ones have been. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm going to make sure the other person approves it. Now, what happens is the person who received the email as the approver gets a message that looks something like this with the full description in it. And obviously, if they requisitioned it, they know what it is, and they just have to verify that the money's okay and maybe the titles are okay. So what I would do is click to approve or reject, be led to this screen, and I would take a look and I'd say, yep, I want to reject it or I want to approve it. Now, if you reject it, it just goes back to you. You have to fix whatever, reading the comments, and then send it back for approval. So if I approve this, it'll give me a thank you, and we're back to our own screen. And take a look what happens to the lab technician job. It is now approved, it is open, and it'll go on the Career Center. Take a look, it's right there. Now anybody out there can go and apply to the job, and we'll look at that in a future tutorial. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's how you create a requisition. In the next tutorial, we'll look at how to process candidates, and the last tutorial will involve the onboarding process.